Hi, I'm Chef Jamie Vincent Bordonaro, and this is Pursuit of Passion, where I share with you mouth-watering recipes, tips, and techniques to give you the tools to create memorable meals for you and your loved ones. And today I have a succulent stick to your short rib recipe, perfect for this winter weather. Let's cook. Let's take a look at some of the key components to our braised short rib. First, we have our aromatics, onion, celery, and garlic to enhance the foundational structure of the sauce. Then we have a generous bunch of thyme to infuse its flavor. And of course, our beautifully marbled short ribs. Let's get right into it with our onion. We're going to take the bottom end off and the root end off, leaving it intact, of course, to make our dice and keep the pieces together. Once you have them top and tailed, go ahead and slice right down the middle through that root, and then we're going to peel them. Now you're going to notice that we're cutting it a bit larger than we did for the risotto in our mushroom risotto episode. This is because the short rib will braise for about 2 to 2.5 hours. And if you cut the onion a little bit too small, it's going to leave your sauce and your short ribs tasting a little bit like overcooked vegetables, which of course we don't want. Onions aside, let's move on to our celery. I cut through the root end to separate the stalks, gave it a nice rinse, and cut it the same exact size as our onion so that it will cook evenly. Next, we move on to the garlic. Cut off the root end and the base end, and that'll allow you access to peel the cloves. Once you have your cloves peeled, you can go ahead and begin slicing the garlic. And again, you're going to notice we're cutting it a little bit bigger. We don't need to mince the garlic because it would just dissolve away and become overcooked by the time the braise was finished. So we'll just do these nice slices, which will infuse that garlic flavor that we all love without overcooking. And here I want to showcase our beautiful balsamic vinegar, which will add a nice acid balance to the braise. Let's talk about our wine that we will feature with this short rib, not only for the cooking process, but to pair with it as a delightful beverage as well. Valpolicella Ripasso is not only my personal favorite wine to drink, but it is a beautifully oaky red wine coming from the Veneto region in northern Italy. It contains some plum, blackberry, and even cherry notes to add to the depth of our short rib experience. Take a look at the incredible intramuscular fat, which we also call marbling, that will render during the cooking process to create a tender texture as well as to enhance the braising liquid. It is absolutely crucial that we season our short ribs liberally, thoroughly, and consistently on all sides. This will allow all of the flavorful nuances to proliferate on the palate and also enrich our braising liquid, which will become our sauce. Once we're ready to get cooking, go ahead and put your oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And let's also get our beef broth hot on the back burner so that when we're ready to add that to the pot, it will shorten the cooking time of the overall braise. Now that we're ready to start cooking our short ribs, we're going to add canola oil to the pan and make sure the oil is nice and hot. And we start searing off our short ribs, being careful not to overcrowd the pan, which would cause it to steam and then prevent the nice, beautiful golden brown caramelization that we're looking for. We're going to sear the short ribs until they have a beautiful, deep golden brown color that will not only add flavor to the short rib themselves, but also maintain their structure during the braise. It's very important that we get all sides nice and deep golden brown. Once again, it will add that beautiful, rich, roasted flavor to the braise and also help to maintain their structure. Once we get beautiful color on all sides, remove the short ribs from the pan and discard the oil. And you can see all those beautiful bits of caramelized meat proteins on the bottom of the pan. That is called our fond. We're going to deglaze with our aromatics, starting with celery. Add that to the pan. Season with a little salt to draw out the moisture and help to sweat the celery. And you may need to add a little bit of oil to help as a heat conductor to sweat the celery. Once the celery begins to sweat, we can go ahead and add our onions and a layer of seasoning once again to help sweat the onions. And we're using our tongs to help scrape the fond on the bottom of the pan. Once the aromatics are translucent, we're going to go ahead and add 1 cup of our balsamic vinegar to deglaze. Go ahead and stir, add a layer of seasoning, and reduce that vinegar by half. This will intensify the flavor of our braising liquid. Once it's reduced by half, you can add 2 cups of our Valpolicella and a layer of seasoning. Bring it up to a simmer and continue simmering until it once again reduces by half. Then we will add in our thyme to the bottom of our roasting pan, as well as into our braising liquid to infuse that flavor. Go ahead and arrange the short ribs in the roasting pan right over the thyme, which will help to aromatize it during the braise and also prevent it from contacting the bottom of the roasting pan, which could potentially lead to it scorching. Once the wine is properly reduced, we'll add in our beef stock, approximately 2 quarts, just enough to cover almost 3/4 of the way up our short ribs. And once that comes up to a simmer, we're ready to pour it over the top of our short ribs and get them ready for braising. And as you can see, we've covered the short ribs about 3/4 of the way up. Add in a little more of our thyme and our aromatics. Cover with foil and place into the oven for about 2 to 2.5 hours. A nice benefit of the cooking time is that it allows us the opportunity to continue to enjoy the Valpolicella and catch up on some dirty dishes. And alas, the moment we have highly been anticipating, checking on our braised short ribs after about 2.5 hours, and they are fork tender and fantastic. All right, so we have our short ribs. They're braised, ready to go. Let's remove the short ribs from the pan, and then we're going to strain the braising liquid. Our aromatics have done their due diligence in flavoring that liquid, so we're going to strain those and discard. And of course, first we're going to give a taste to our braising liquid, see where the salinity is at, see where the acidity is, and adjust if necessary. Then we'll crank up the heat to about a medium high and reduce until you start to see those thick bubbles form. That's when we're going to bring in our butter. It's about 3 tablespoons of unsalted Plugra butter. And we're just going to whisk that in real nice. That's going to add a nice roundness and richness, as well as a velvety texture to our sauce. Give it a taste. It needs a little seasoning. We'll add some salt. And something that is really, really phenomenal to help to make the sauce just bounce off the palate is a last minute addition of some fresh balsamic vinegar. And that fresh, bright acid will help to open up the palate and cut through some of the richness of the braised short rib. Once the sauce is ready to go, we take our short ribs, from which we've removed the bone, and sauce in the pan to cover, to coat, and to glaze. And now it's time to plate. Use your own artistic, creative freedom to plate however you'd like. I would even suggest plating over a bed of delicious mushroom risotto, which you can head back to episode 1 of Pursuit of Passion to check out a great recipe for that. Give a final sauce to our short ribs, and we are ready to enjoy. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I do appreciate the support. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, Pursuit of Passion. And as always, please be well on your pursuit of passion. Thank you.
Switch. Switch.